Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about intelligence. But let's just throw out the old rule book, you know? Forget about test scores, forget about knowing a bunch of trivia. We're going to look at the much more subtle, everyday signs that your mind might just be operating on a different frequency.
So let's start right here. What does high intelligence really look like to you? Seriously, what pops into your head? Is it someone who just has all the answers all the time? Well, the truth is, the real markers are way less obvious and, honestly, a lot more interesting. And this is what I mean. It really flips the whole script. We have this myth that intelligence is loud, it's performative, it's about what you can show off. But the reality? It's often really quiet. It's found in those internal processes, those subtle ways you think, those everyday behaviors, and just a fundamentally different way of seeing the world that most people might not even notice.
So let's explore 5 of these signs, these thinking habits that might just suggest a mind that doesn't quite play by the usual rules. First one up.
Okay, sign number 1, the tendency to constantly see multiple sides of an issue. Think about it. Let's say a friend makes a kind of sharp comment. Do you just feel hurt? Or does your mind instantly start running through all the possibilities? Like, maybe they're having a horrible day, or maybe you just misunderstood their tone, or, yeah, maybe they actually meant it that way. Does your brain just do that automatically?
If that sounds familiar, that's a huge sign of what's called cognitive flexibility. Now, this isn't about being indecisive at all. It's about your brain's amazing capacity to hold and genuinely weigh competing ideas at the exact same time. It's a hallmark of some really deep processing. You don't just have a thought, you put it in conversation with other thoughts. All right, on to our next sign. See, it's one thing to question the world around you, but it is a whole other level to regularly question your own mind. Do you ever have a thought, maybe a flash of anger, and you immediately think, hang on a second, am I actually angry or am I just tired and hungry? You're basically putting your own thoughts on trial. And this is exactly how it works. A thought just pops into your head, but instead of just running with it, you instinctively hit the pause button. You take a step back, and you become this kind of auditor for your own brain, right? Checking for bias, looking for flaws in the logic. Your mind isn't just a thought factory, it's the quality control department too. This habit has a name, and it's called metacognitive intelligence. It's not just about what you're thinking, it's about being aware of how you're thinking. And that level of self-monitoring, that's a really powerful indicator of a different kind of intellect. Okay, this next one, this might hit close to home for some of you. Have you ever left a party feeling completely wiped out, not because you were running around, but because you spent an hour talking about the weather and traffic? Well, it turns out there's a real psychological reason for that feeling. And this is so important to understand. It's not because you're antisocial or you don't like people, not at all. It's because your brain it's wired for deeper processing. It expects more. So when you put it in a low stimulation environment, like small talk, it can feel more draining than relaxing. It's like having a high-performance engine that you're only allowed to idle. All right, sign number 4 is all about being a human pattern detector. For example, maybe at work, you're the only one who's noticed that every single time a certain manager gets involved in a project, communication just seems to fall apart in the last week. No one else has connected the dots, but you see the system. You see the pattern behind it all.
I mean, really think about it. Are you the person who picks up on these little things? A tiny shift in a friend's voice, a small inconsistency in a story they're telling, the same theme that keeps popping up over and over again. To most people, these are just random bits of information.
But not to you. Your mind instinctively connects those dots. It weaves them together into a bigger picture. You're not just seeing the individual trees, you're seeing the whole forest and how it's all connected.
And yep, there's a name for this too, advanced pattern recognition. Psychologists see this as a huge marker of higher intelligence. It's that ability to sift through all the noise of daily life and find the complex relationships that are hiding right underneath the surface.
And now for our last sign. And this one is, maybe, the most paradoxical of them all. It's the wisdom of uncertainty. You know that feeling when you start learning something really complex, like a new language or how to code? At first, you think you're getting the hang of it. But then, the more you learn, the more you realize just how massive the subject is and how little you actually know. That feeling isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign of intellectual humility. The more you learn, the more you see just how much is left to learn. It's like, as your circle of knowledge expands, the edge of that circle, the circumference of your awareness of the unknown, gets bigger too. And this humility is directly linked to higher intelligence. So, as we bring this all together, here's the most important takeaway. Having a mind that works this way isn't really about being smarter in that old-fashioned sense. It's about thinking differently. It's about the quality, the depth, and the very structure of your thoughts.
And I think this quote just says it all, doesn't it? The true sign of this kind of intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about how deeply and how bravely you're willing to question them, and even question yourself.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. As you were listening, did any of these patterns feel familiar? Is this kind of how your mind works? It's a pretty fascinating thing to think about. Thanks for joining me.